Welcome, everyone. You are now listening to Walk Worthy Empowerment Podcast with me, Tacola. I will be hosting the show, and I'm so excited to empower you all mentally, spiritually, and financially, because I truly believe you can't have one without the other. So let's get ready to have some fun. I will also be inviting special guests, yes, special guests, to empower you all as well. So let's get ready. Make sure you download and subscribe to my podcast show to be empowered and ready for your week. Hey everyone, welcome back to Walk Worthy Empowerment. And if you are a new listener, I would like to welcome you all as well. As you all may know, my name is Tacola Burrows, and I am the host of Walk Worthy Empowerment. And today we're going to do something a little different on this episode. I want to do a get to know me episode, so you guys know a little more about me, a little more about Walk Worthy Empowerment. Walk Worthy Empowerment is not only a podcast. We are a community that's going after everything that God has in store for us and everything the enemy has stolen, because in this community, we are bloodline breakers. We are the trailblazers for our family. We are the chosen ones. We are the ones that God has called to be in the front. So we are his soldiers. So most importantly, I am a mom first. I am a mom of one. I am a boss mom. And when I say boss mom, I don't take it lightly. Boss mom. Me being a single mom for almost 5 years, I had no other choice but to boss up. And when I say boss up, I had to boss up in my parenting. I had to boss up in my self-confidence, in my business. And most importantly, I had to boss up for God. Because if I show up as a boss in all these other areas in my life, but when it comes to God, I cannot slack. I have to boss up for God. So bossing up for God is mainly walking into who God called you to be. Standing in your authority, not being cowered down and scared of the faces of man and thinking that other people's opinions matter over God. No, bossing up is on walking into whatever God want me to do, scared and all, whichever, because the one thing we know about God is he will allow us to perfect our gift along the way. So if he called you to it, he will see you through it. I was graced for the opportunity to raise my son. And honestly, it's a blessing, because at the stage of my life that I had him, I was still trying to figure myself out. I was young. I didn't even experience the world at the time. But one of the beautiful things I love about my journey as a mother, I was allowed to see my son grow into who he is today. And I see that when God was pouring into me, it was overflowing into my son. So as we was growing together, he was also watching. He was also learning. I was able to pour into him with the things and the wisdom and the knowledge that God has given me. So I know it's some moms out there. I know it's some single mothers that could understand where I'm coming from with this. It was hard, but it was easy with the grace of God. And the more I began to see God pour into me, and now I can see the fruit of it through my son, it's amazing. Honestly, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, I'm like, okay, God, now I understand what you mean when you say judge them by their fruit, because I'm able to physically see the fruit of my son, the humbleness, the respectfulness, the things that a mother wish for, especially a single mother, because the first thing goes through our head is, are we doing a good job? Are we able to raise our children as we will hope for them to be raised the right way? So as it says in John 15:4, It says, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. So one thing I could say on my journey, I never left God. God was always within me. He was always steering me along the way, especially in my motherhood. Because when I did experience being a single mother, it cost me a lot. It wasn't easy. And many times I doubted my ability to do it, but by the grace of God, it was for sure His grace that I was able to withstand it. And everything that was coming up against me and my son, it really let me see life in a different light. And I really saw the hand of God on our lives. Just like I remember when I got started on this journey, when God gave me the vision of my podcast show, immediately fear kicked in. And I was like, God, I don't know if I could do this. If I could be honest and transparent with you all, I honestly had every excuse in the book. The first thing I said was, God, I don't have a name. I don't know nobody who did this before. I don't know where to start. Like, all you showing me is a podcast. I don't know what to do. And He immediately reminded me that you already have the name. And I was like, I already have the name? And I began to think. I said, wow. I did. Walk Worthy Empowerment. My vision was to be on Facebook Live and do lives every hour. I was calling it Walk Worthy Empowerment. And every hour I was going to come before the people and do an empower hour. That was my vision. But God's vision was a bigger scale, which is the podcast. And that just goes to show that sometimes we are praying, small prayers, but we serve a big God. Here I go thinking, I need to just go and do these lives and go from there. But God is saying, no, I'm calling you to a bigger scale. I'm calling you to really step out. That's too easy for you. That's something that you was comfortable with doing. You can do that. I'm calling you to go higher in me. Because, to be honest, in order to do this podcast, I have to go higher in God. Because that's who I receive my instructions from. So God is very strategic. So if He's calling you all to something, be obedient and do it, because we don't know the doors that God is trying to open to us. We don't know what is behind the door of our first step in being obedient. When He call you to something and don't give you the rest of the details, we don't know what's on the other side of that door. But all I knew was, God, if you call me to it, you will see me through it. Even in the midst of it, I was like, okay, God, well, like, where I'm going to learn this from? I have nobody I know that did a podcast. Immediately, the Holy Spirit led me to resources. He led me to people. He led me to videos to watch as I began to build. But the first thing I had to do was do the work. I had to do the work, the hands-on work. He can give us the vision. We could write it down and make it plain, but we have to do the work. It's not easy. But to get started and perfect it along the way, you're not going to be alone. He's with you. So during the time that I'm doing the work, God is with me doing the work too. He didn't just say, okay, go ahead, and left me high and dry. No. Same for you. I know this is for someone today. If he's calling you to do the work, do it. Because it's not for you. It's for the kingdom. I could have had 1,000 excuses in my head. Every time I came with an excuse, God had a solution. But I still had to do the work. And your mind is going to wonder. Your mind is going to come up with all type of things. I was like, Lord, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know what to say. I don't know. But as I began to do the work, he showed me I'm already equipped. Everything that I need is in me. That goes for my businesses. That goes for my podcast. That goes for anything that he instruct me to do. We're already equipped. That's why I say we are bloodline breakers. We are chosen vessels, chosen to do the work of the Lord. And it all makes sense because I experienced a lot of trauma in my life from childhood to my adulthood. A lot of things I did experience, I don't really remember because God gave me amnesia. Because a lot of times, we carry trauma from our childhood to our adulthood, and it affects everything in our life. From our friendships, our relationships, our parenting. It even shows up in our business. But when God began to show me these things, and when I began to see that it was starting to show up in these areas in my life, immediately I began to go to the Lord and ask him, hey, what's going on? What is it in me that needs to come out? What is it that I need to change? What I need to do differently? What is it that I'm not doing? And I wasn't being obedient to what he was telling me to do. When you experience trauma, when you experience not just any trauma, I experienced hurt, pain, and rejection. Those were the main three over and over again. And that's the plan of the enemy, is to attack our hearts. Because if he could get to our hearts, remember, God sees the heart. So if he could get to our heart and he can make our hearts cold, he could cause us to be hurt. If he could cause us to be in pain and giving up, it's hard for God to get in. It's very hard for God to get in our hearts because we have a wall up. So he attacked me over and over. It was the same spirit, but a different person. And to be honest, I was sick and tired. I was like, God, I'm done. Like, I'm over this. I don't want to deal with this no more. And I was just really giving up. And I was being the opposite of who God called me to be. Instead of speaking up, I would just shut up. Instead of being creative, I chose to fit in. So when the enemy came and bullied me with hurt, pain, and rejection, I was cornered. I felt like I couldn't do nothing for myself. But God, when he gave me a glimpse of who he called me to be and who I am in the spirit, it changed the trajectory of my life. It changed the way I view him. It changed the way I see people. It changed the way I walk this walk with him. So when you hear the voice behind my brand, know that I had to find my voice. Know that it didn't come easy. So I'm not coming before you just to empower you, but I know how I feel to lack confidence, to not walk into who God has called you to be, to lack community. and to lack a support system. I know how it feels because I have been there. Some of us, we just need the tools to push forward. Once we get the tools, once we get the divine connections, once God is able to step in, that's all we need to go to the next level in our business, in our home, in our marriage, at our jobs, to show up as the person He is calling you to be. And like I said, I know because that was me. I was that girl. I was the one that was cornered. I was the one who was allowing the enemy to corner me and make me feel like I was little, thinking less of who I am and not walking into who God calling me to be. But I was settling for what He was showing in my face. So when I say it's an honor and a privilege that God has trusted me to serve and to help you walk this walk with the tools to your next season, it's truly an honor because I didn't have that. When I was going through all this hurt, pain, rejection, I didn't have somebody to hold my hand and say, come on, I'm going to pull you out. I didn't have that person, but I did have God. And when you don't understand that's all you need, you do look to other people for validation. You do look to them like, hey, you don't see that I'm hurting? Hey, aren't you going to help me? So instead of crying out to God, I was looking towards people. But what I came before you today, for you to understand that you don't have to look for people. Once you cry out to God, everything comes with it. He's going to send the divine connections. He's going to send the resources. He's going to send the things that you need for the journey ahead. Think about it. Jesus was the same way. He equipped him. He didn't need nothing, and he was in the wilderness. So I hope you all received something about my journey today. I just really wanted to share that, and I really wanted to be open and transparent and let you guys in on who I am, especially for my new followers and everyone that's downloading and subscribing to the podcast. I'm so grateful for you all. I'm so grateful. And please don't forget to leave a comment, rate the show, and subscribe, and let someone know. Share the podcast with other people, and at least invite 3 people who you think will benefit from being empowered every week. Because I know during these times, we need that voice. We need someone to guide us. And some of us, we can't do it alone. We really can't. So we need a community. So by me building up this community, it takes all of us working together. And I'm so excited to see what God is about to do through Walk Worthy Empowerment. And I love the feedback. I'm so happy that you all are enjoying the show. And I do want to add, if you all didn't receive my free prophetic and decree ebook, please, I'm going to leave the link in the show notes so you could download it. I did a 30-day challenge with my Instagram family, and we are on day 20, but I do want to implement you guys on getting in on this challenge because it truly has been life-changing. It's truly a move of God. And we have to remember the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God. So with this book, you have the tools you need to combat everything you're dealing with in your finances, in your health, and in your kingdom purpose. And I also share a personal testimony in this book to help encourage you all and to know that if he did it for me, God will do it for you. So please go ahead and join us, join the challenge. We only have 10 days left, but we know time means nothing to God. So get in with us. Go ahead, download your free ebook, and let's go. So until next week, I will talk to you all, and I hope you all have a blessed week. Bye. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Walk Worthy Empowerment Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Walk Worthy Empowerment. Until next time, be blessed.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.